Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the semi-finals of the EUS Challenger Series number 5. We have got Peculiar Gaming versus Eternity. Eternity, having taken game 1, now are in a commanding position. Obviously, one more game, and they are through to the finals of this series. So very nicely played by them. But obviously, Peculiar Gaming unlikely to just let them go through without a fight. Put up a very good game last time, but we're not able to come back into it. I am Spottington, and I am joined again by Dignitas Stress.
Indeed, once again, I will be casting from the stream for the picks and bans phase, so Spuddington, you're slightly ahead of me. Right now on my stream, I have Lee Sin, Kha'Zix, Shen, and Thresh banned out. What are bans 5 and 6?
Jarvan the Fourth and Twisted Fate. And actually an immediate insta-lock, Zac.
Well, that's something a little bit interesting. We'll see whether Zac is played in the jungle or the mid lane or the top lane. We've seen him in pretty much multiple different places, so where will he end up going? And not a surprise though that we do see the Zac picked up first ever since he wasn't let through. Ever since he was let through the ban phase to that first pick. So not all that surprising. I wonder what the response will be out of Peculiar.
Yeah, well, it looks like they've gone straight in for that Elise and then the Varus pickup after that. So looking for some aggressive percent damage based setup there. They're going to have quick objective control, and obviously characters that build a lot of health, say Zac for instance, are going to be taking quite a lot of damage from them in return. But yeah, Zac, very, very solid in a lot of situations. He's a very good jungler, very good top laner, and I've seen him mid a couple of times too, so, you know, could be played. I don't think you're likely to see maybe the AD carry, although if you have a lot of attack speed on Zac, his auto-attack animation is ridiculous. We do, however, have the Lulu lock-in from Anton M, and Spur Blob hovering over that Nautilus, going to be locking that in as well.
Yeah, not a very surprising pickup on the Nautilus. Very strong right now with that extra shield, gives him that extra damage as well. Allows him to clear that a little bit faster. Lulu, not really that big of a surprise on the pick either. The only thing difference is we're not going to have a Lulu Varus lane in this game. But, I assume that's why they're taking that Lulu away. Also, it's going to work great in team fights for the disruption using her ult. He's going to be able to knock up anybody around the ult target.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very strong, beefy front line at the moment. I mean, that's a lot of defensive kind of picks they've got, essentially. They've got very tanky top laner, very tanky jungler, and for a support, tanky kind of more puts tankiness on other people, but kind of tanky and very disruptive as well. Not a lot of damage to contribute, but obviously that's normal for a support, unless you are Zyra or maybe Lissandra. But we haven't seen that today, and we are actually now seeing from Peculiar Gaming something I don't think I've seen thus far in the entire Challenger series, a Nami lock-in, as well as a Syndra.
Yeah, Nami is a champion that gets used a little bit in Korea because she has that ultimate's going to be AoE disruption, which does travel quite slowly, but in a team fight you can actually have it catch quite a few people if they're a little preoccupied with everything else. So while she's not all that standard of a pick, I'm interested to see how this is going to go. They've allowed Syndra through once again, and we saw Dignitas UK, as I was talking about, fall victim to that Syndra. And surprising though that Eternity will let it through. Obviously they didn't feel all that threatened by it in the last game.
Well, in the last game they did have that really, really solid roaming comp. They had that Evelynn, they had that Kassadin, and they really shut her down. So it wasn't a huge problem for them then. We have actually got Eternity locking in the Kayle, and they've got 1 second left to pick their AD carry, which is going to be Caitlyn by the looks of it. There we go, Caitlyn lock-in. But I will just comment on Nami. She did get buffed in the last patch, so the stun duration now on that bubble, on that Q, which is actually a very long range, although a relatively small radius for a skill shot, is now 1.5 seconds, which is a very long CC for a level 1 CC, especially considering if you play it right, you can land it on 2 people, and you can help set it up if your AD carry knows how to play it, because you can put that E on them, he will then slow the enemy down, you can land that stun, follow it up with the kind of ultimate trading ability in the form of the one that Ebb and Flow, which bounces, does damage, heals, and then damages again. In the ideal situation, Nami is a crazily strong support now. Obviously though, dodging the bubble can really, really mess with her ability to do anything.
Yeah, and Aqua Prison has that a little bit different of a skill shot line to a lot of other abilities. It kind of peaks up and then down rather than being linear. Of course, it is, fires in one direction, but the way that it actually moves and interacts with people is a little bit different to what you normally see. Kale's a champion we haven't seen in all that much recently after the nerfs to her ultimate. Of course, that nerfed the range of the ultimate. Also, the tweaks to her Q, where it pretty much changed the amplification of the damage on it. And another champion that we haven't seen all that much recently is Xin Zhao that we're getting in the jungle here from Amazing.
Yeah, it's looking like a very unconventional setup all around. They've actually got, on Peculiar Gaming, some really strong disengage. And that might be because of such a beefy front line on Eternity. They've got that Zac engage, they've got that Nautilus engage, they've got the follow-up from Kale, which is going to be a really strong sustained damage source, and that Caitlyn, who's also going to be doing much the same thing as Kale, doing those auto-attack damages. She'll scale up, not as brilliantly maybe as Kale into the mid-game, but late game she will be really solid and very hard to pin down with it. So it's going to be interesting. I do have to wonder, though, how Peculiar Gaming intends to make things happen for themselves, because they can't really force a fight that well. They kind of have to wait, I feel, for Eternity to make a misengage themselves and then capitalize on kind of turning that around. I mean, I guess Xin can run into the middle.
Yeah, I think their counter engage is going to be pretty strong when they can use the tidal wave from Nami, as well as the Chains of Corruption, but that relies on them disengaging first, as you said. They do have a significant amount of disengage, but they have to be able to disengage and then re-engage when it's on their terms, and we'll see how Peculiar Gaming can make that happen in this game. We are going to go to a very quick break now, guys, just as we load the game up, but we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with Peculiar Gaming versus Eternity.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are just getting underway now as I speak. I know, shocking, but I am Spuddington. I am joined by Dignitas Stress. We are going to be going into the second semi-final game in this best of 3 between Peculiar Gaming and Eternity Gaming. Eternity Gaming? Eternity. Anyway, Eternity. We do have something happening that Grulum actually could potentially be caught a little bit out on a limb here. Not going to happen though. Hello, Stress.
Hello, indeed. Yeah, we are into game number 2 here between these two teams. And I'm a little bit slow on the load-in, not quite into the game yet. So I'll let you know as soon as I am in. Should be loaded up any second now.
Alright, well, nothing huge happening at the moment. We do have Eternity grouping up and going into the enemy jungle. They did put down that aggressive ward near the Wraiths. Pretty standard now. We do have, obviously, in return, a fair few aggressive wards. A mirrored ward placed by Peculiar Gaming. They've also placed one towards that bottom lane on the corner, covering their own blue buff. Obviously just really quite paranoid about being invaded. Obviously there is a very strong level 1 fight from Eternity again, so don't want to risk being taken out there. And yeah, that's fine by them. They're going to be sending their bot lane, pick up golems. Nautilus going to be starting at that blue buff. He should be just fine with doing that with the help of his team. And yeah, Zin going to be starting at his own blue. So both junglers going for that mirrored path. Wouldn't be surprised to see them going for, early top lane gank from Amazing wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, it would depend whether Spontex had taken that elastic slingshot. And, an early bot lane gank would be pretty reliable for Agent as well.
It's not all that often that you see a Doran shield start. Zach has started with that because he's anticipating this 2v1 lane with the Varus Nami. It's going to give him that extra defense, extra health regen, that extra health as well. So we'll see how that ends up going. Of course, Zach is going to be able to sustain himself using the blobs that he'll be able to pick up after using his abilities. So Spontex actually not even going out to the wave. He's just going to wait for Varus and Nami to push that in towards him. Caitlyn and Lulu are going to push fairly quickly as well. So there's going to be a lot of action at these turrets fairly soon, as we kind of have grown accustomed to see.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, both of those towers going down very early. I do think that Spontex, last time he was in a 2-on-1 as Zach, didn't hold his tower for very long, honestly. He went for that, I think, was it Spontex? Someone went with the Doran shield start on that Zach and didn't hold his tower for particularly long. But it worked out okay for them in the end, as I recall. It does kind of depend how well your bottom lanes can survive, because I wouldn't be surprised to see the junglers, obviously, heading towards that, for that 3 minutes 20 timing, where you try and prevent the risk of having your enemy jungler diving that 2v1 laner. Spontex now going to be trying to kind of clear this out, but he's just letting them hit the tower. And, obviously, he doesn't have a lot of damage to scare them off, so I guess there's not much point in trying to. Since at the moment, Agent is hanging around, though he is in that brush, kind of looking to see whether he's going to do anything. And actually, we did see an engage in mid, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, Super Blob managed to just about get away from that. Zinj was coming in through the side, didn't quite get in. Super Blob didn't use his flash or anything, so it's a nice little harass, managing to push him back behind that turret, and allows Syndra to farm a little bit. Kayle had started getting a little bit of an advantage on CS, but not really much to write home about. But I think that Kayle pickup's actually a really smart choice up against Grulum's Syndra, because Syndra, as we've talked about, when she uses that unleashed power, is going to be able to deal a lot of damage over a very short duration. With that intervention, Super Blob's going to be able to just persevere through it. It won't do anything provided he hits the intervention at the right time. So good pickup there in that mid lane.
Yeah, but there is going to be a slight risk, though, that either he'll be forced into a situation where he's either going to take the full unleashed power, or he's going to have to use the ultimate before the unleashed power is actually used. Because if the stun lands while he's actually not invulnerable, I think the unleashed power could happen while he's still stunned and unable to block that. It could possibly reduce him to nothing very quickly. But yeah, it's going to be very much a skill matchup. Grulum obviously looking to pressure him out with those Qs, obviously trying to get those stuns down where possible. Having to be a little bit cautious. We did actually see Zin in that bottom lane just pressuring around. No one's really doing anything. We've actually got the anchor in top lane. Phylox now going low, but the bubble lands on Spontex, who is now in a lot of trouble. He does have the passive available though, so no overcommitment there from the Peculiar Gaming bot lane, quote unquote. but nothing too huge happening there. They're just going to be backing out.
Yeah, and you saw the duration of that stun that you were talking about in that Aqua Prison, and you said it lasts a second and a half, and that is a very long time for you know, that type of ability, and it's all because of how kind of difficult that is to hit. You can see Super Blob going aggressive on towards Grillum. Grillum's been trying to force him off the wave as much as possible so that Grillum can hit 6 before Super Blob does, and that's so the Super Blob can use that unleashed power. But let's see how far these two are. It's actually Super Blob that's ahead, so I don't think Grillum's going to be all that successful in trying to force him off away from level 6, so I'm expecting Super Blob to hit 6 fairly soon. Grillum realizes that and he's actually going to recall for himself.
Yeah, he's going to lose some creeps to the tower as a result of this Kayle pushes wave very, very quickly for very little mana cost, but that's not going to be too huge of a cost. He's going to lose out, you know, a small amount there. 34 CS at the moment to 42, so actually going to be opening up to nearly a 10 CS lead, I suspect, after this wave has been consumed by the tower. But again, not going to be enormous. Syndra will still do a ton of damage. Syndra will still have the potential to kill Kayle in that lane. And we do actually pretty much see at the moment the junglers hanging around and almost acting as, you know, a dual laner for their top lane at the moment. They do have Agent, you know, hanging around in that top, kind of applying pressure and preventing them from getting too aggressive on Spontex, preventing them from taking that tower, and simultaneously trying to stay out of sight so that the other lanes do have to at least worry that maybe he's around and not actually doing anything in that top lane after all. But we do see Grillum potentially looking for that roam to mid, to bot. Sorry, not going to be happening though.
Yeah, both of the towers being pressured are at around about the same amount of health, so I'm kind of expecting them to go down at a fairly similar time. Grillum, however, is looking for something in that bot lane. I think they're still aware that Nautilus is towards the top side of the map, holding that lane. So Grillum's actually going to drift down and come out behind Anton, and they're actually going to catch on towards him. Will Grillum use that unleashed power? Does land the ball down, will pick up the kill with that unleashed power. So, knows that Kayle would be able to withstand the damage, goes to another lane to pick that up. Super Blob, however, is pretty much mimicking that and is headed up to that top lane. Aqua Prison's going to land under the tower, takes 2 shots from him. Matroco able to get back from this. Doesn't look like Super Blob can chase. So that Aqua Prison already showing its hand for how good the disengage is if they can clear it.
Yeah, it's a crazily good disengage move, as you say, and it can really zone people away. But right now, it does look like this top tower could be forfeit. I don't think they can really hold onto it. Whether it's going to go down completely, though, is another matter. It's going to take quite a lot of damage, but I don't think... Oh, well, actually, there's another creep wave. It's probably going to go down as a result of that. Caitlyn and Lulu, however, are still holding onto their tower pretty well. They haven't taken their opposing tower, but that's still a good setup there for Eternity. They are now going to be able to send their bot lane bot, have their enemy bot lane either go bot or be forced to go top in a bit of an awkward spot where they might overextend, and that's solid for them. They're going to be pleased with that, and now obviously they can try to force that dragon if they can keep that bot lane at the top lane.
Yeah, it looks like they will end up focusing on this. They don't have a pink ward quite yet. They are waiting. There we go. It has been placed. I was going to say they're just waiting on Nami to put it down. And now they're going to engage on towards this dragon. Antons might be looking to ward over the wall. Will get it just in that sneaky little spot. But the pink ward is deep enough into the pit to spot that out. Amazing's actually going to turn around from this one. Doesn't look like they want it. They're not quite sure where Zac is quite yet. It looks like both teams are just going to disengage, don't really want to take the fight, but there is an engagement from JWoww on towards Anton. He's very far away from his team. JWoww is going to get away safely though.
Yeah, both teams there just kind of thinking maybe not going to go for that, actually. Not really worth the risk. But what you saw there was actually Peculiar Gaming. They were aware that now Eternity has that advantage. They've taken that tower pressure advantage, that they're going to want to go for that dragon next. So they kind of thought, well, actually, we should just try and force it ourselves now and force them to react to us. We'll be kind of ahead of the game here. So it didn't kind of work out for them too well. Obviously, there was too much risk that Eternity would engage upon them, but could have been worse. And obviously now Zac going to be returning to that top lane. Elise is going to recall and look to head up there as well. Both sides, you know, just doing a fairly solid job overall. We do now have the bot lane actually versus the other bot lane.
Yep, for the first time in this game we have those duo lanes up against each other. Only the one tower has fallen, which is a little bit different from what we're normally seeing. Normally both will fall at the same time. Looks like Peculiar actually managed to hold on to their tower, so they get that slight advantage in the tower trade. In fact, no, it's Eternity managed to pick up the tower in the top lane as well, so neither of the towers that were being pushed quickly at the beginning of the game ended up falling. Sorry, my bad, of course it went down to that 3-member pressure up in that top lane.
Yeah, and now it does look like Agent is going to clear out that dragon, going to be now walking away, but he's actually turned around very quickly, obviously aware that there could now be no vision in that bot lane, but not going to be going for it. Obviously, there is no real setup for him there. We do have Xin heading towards bot lane as well. Amazing. Looking maybe to go through the lane here. He may also just be looking for a counter gank if we see Nautilus going in, but it's a very well warded lane by Peculiar Gaming. They're very, very safe. And it does look like they might just look to get some vision of Dragon here. I wouldn't be surprised to see Navi go there and maybe put a ward around the corner or just close by, maybe in that tuft of grass that nobody checks. There are a few options for them here, but none of them seem to be the one they're going to be going for here. They're just going to keep farming out this bot lane. Varus versus Caitlyn though, Varus is probably going to be scaling a little bit better as time goes on. He'll be doing a lot of damage. 90 CS on him though at the moment and 98 on Caitlyn, so not going to be quite what you'd expect. But actually in mid now we have Sproblob going very, very low. We have got the Q coming down from Grulum. Not going to be actually able to get the kill. Neither ultimate used on either of those characters, both kind of playing the chicken game there.
Yeah, and speaking of Varus and Caitlyn in this one, last game we saw both of them go for Blade of the Rune King. This time they've both picked up a BF sword, so tells me they're building more towards that flat damage style with the Bloodthirst, or even, in the case of Varus, still potentially an Infinity Edge. So we'll see where these builds end up going. Looks like Spontex is looking to maybe catch on towards JWoww, but JWoww is backing off. We did get blue team turret destroyed in that mid lane, so Grulum and Amazing did end up taking that down. Still looking up in that top lane for whatever they can, but we do have a pause coming up.
Yeah, so presumably someone has DC'd again. This is seeming to be a kind of a recurring theme here. It does actually look like it's Spontex that has DC'd. Yeah, our team cannot afford a good internet connection, says Anton M. It's, yeah, obviously not quite what you'd want at this stage of the game, but it is looking for quite a tactical phase. It is interesting though, because top lane right now, Nautilus and Spontex on that Zac there, they want that gank to happen, but he's just DC'd, so that's not really what you want. That's, if anyone's going to DC right now, maybe have Kayle DC. She's not doing anything at the moment, so yeah, not quite what you want. But JWoww, will he get away from this gank situation? He is obviously full health. He is obviously Elise. He has pretty good odds of escaping double Doran's rings. He has that boots, and Repel is available. There will be the golems to retreat to, but there is the potential that he will get ground down. There is the depth charge available on Nautilus. You have the damage mostly available, I think, there on Spontex. He has actually... Wait, has he not got his ultimate yet?
Spontex, it's not actually showing up for me. Let's have a look. I've got
actually,
that it's
none of the
rank
ultimates
1.
are.
Yeah, okay, there's a spectator bug by the looks of it, because Varus's flash is actually flashing for me. Yeah, when you click on Zac's profile, he has skilled it to level 1, so yeah, he does actually have that ultimate. A little bit of a confusing thing there for me. I wonder whether that's because of the pause, or whether that's just a bug for the client for this game. That could be a little bit interesting, trying to judge whether people have got their ultimates up.
Yeah, that would not be ideal from my perspective. I do like to know who would actually win in a fight beforehand, if possible. But we do now have the reconnect there from Spontex, who will be jumping to live as soon as I possibly can when they unpause this. So yeah, ready calls coming out. Everyone's ready. It seems we should be resuming in just a second, and then I will be continuing to stare at this top lane when they actually unpause. There we go. Game will resume in 5 seconds. Jumping to live just now. We do obviously now have to focus on this top lane. Spontex has charged. He is going in with the depth charge as well. We have got the repel, which has forced it. Let's bounce. Also whiffs. So maybe a bit of an overcommitment there, but they're going to be getting the damage down. JWoww is going to get bled quite quickly. He does go down. And that's a very clean kill there.
Yep, and luckily our overlay, well, not the overlays, the spectator client is working for the ultimates. It was just because of the pause. Never actually had that happen before, but something a little bit trying to keep us on our toes there. The Let's Bounce there right at the end, the last bounce in that actually hit Elise as she repelled back down. So just about managing to get away with that Let's Bounce, I think, was Spontex. They picked up that kill as well, so, you know, it's going to be important for them. They are a little bit behind on gold still, however, and with Spontex pressuring that tower, we're getting somewhat of a mimic of the last game where we saw blue side pushing on towards this inner tower up in that top lane while everybody else was kind of focused on Dragon.
Yeah, although the reverse of it is true this time, because last time it was JWoww who was doing the pushing on that Jace. Spontex was looking for all the roaming on that Evelyn, but now it seems like he's doing a lot of the pushing, and he's going to be recalling now. Actually, he has found JWoww, so maybe JWoww's found him. The stun goes down. He's going to be chased down. We've got the bite coming down, the ignite as well. Spontex going low. He has divided. I think Elise is going to have the damage to bring him down. Venomous Bite goes down. We've got the damage. He's actually going, getting kind of a race against time there. Not sure he was going to be able to make it. We have got Chain of Corruption in bottom lane. Bubble goes down. Tidal Wave goes down. We've got the damage coming down on Vandernoob. He's going to be going down very, very quickly indeed. Proc on the ultimate, on the passive. And that's going to be picking him up. And that's another clean kill there.
Yeah, another clean kill. You can see how that CC all work together. The Chains of Corruption into Aqua Prison, into Tidal Wave, made sure that Caitlyn just was never getting away. Even though Lulu used the Wild Growth on her, she just took so much damage while she was stunned in that Aqua Prison that really just, it was impossible for her to escape.
Yeah, and now Agent and Spurblob are coming in this bot lane. Motroko is out of mana, has to flash the hook. Well, that's going to cost him that flash, which is, you know, pretty valuable, but he's not going to die of it, which is obviously fortunate. But it does look like Eternity rotate towards that dragon, and this time, I think they should be able to take it. I don't feel like Peculiar Gaming can contest this, although they may look to go for the poke here. The ward has gone down, and Eternity are going to back out because Elise and Syndra were moving toward that dragon.
Yeah, Eternity are playing a little bit scared here. They don't really want to extend out all that far. They know they're somewhat behind. They're actually only about 2,000 gold behind, which is pretty much, there's that turret advantage. And did we see Peculiar pick up a dragon earlier in the game? Can't quite remember that off the top of my head. I know there was a lot of movement around dragon earlier. It might have even been that they backed off, so not remembering that quite as well as I should do right now, but Caitlyn has gone back down to that bottom lane, is pushing this through fairly quickly, and if Varus doesn't get there, she's probably going to be able to take this tower with that minion wave, but Varus does arrive just in time to clear that wave out before that turret goes down.
Yeah, he's going to be freezing out that as much as he can, and in fact he's pulling the creeps away from the tower right now. So he could maybe look to freeze it, but it doesn't look like he's going to go for that. They are going to go resume pushing this lane and just going to be shoving very, very cleanly again. It's a very, very controlled game at the moment. I don't think anyone has had Dragon at the moment. Both teams have kind of postured over it multiple times now, so no one's actually managed to take it. But obviously the tower advantage still sits at 2-1, and there is also that 2-kill advantage. That would be why Peculiar Gaming are a little bit heavier on the gold. But does look like they're going to make another attempt now. We do actually have the potential to burst it down very, very quickly this time. It is going to go down, I think, before anyone can react. But will the fight that happens afterwards mean anything? Rulem is now getting depth charge. There is going to be the engage. We have also got the tidal wave going for the disengage. Rulem putting down some damage, but no actual ult available. Couldn't use it because the only one there was Kale, and she was invulnerable. And now we're looking for the disengage. Amazing is going to get Ace in the hold. He's going to go down. That's going to be a very clean 3-kill pickup there for Eternity. And I don't think that Dragon was worth it.
Especially not if they take this mid tower as well. That's going to put a lot of gold in the favour of Eternity, which will help them get back into this game. They're still about 2,000 gold behind. This tower will go quite a way to making that up. JWoww actually might be caught out here. He's going to repel. That's the problem with going on towards Elise. The elastic slingshot used to go forward. Let's bounce in behind the tower. JWoww is going to fall to Spontex, and they're diving very deep here behind these two towers. Will they end up taking down that mid tower? Not quite yet. Aqua Prison's not quite going to land, and I think Peculiar might even kind of be okay with that win in the end, because they only didn't. Well, they didn't lose that tower.
Yeah, but it is still very low. It's going to take, you know, little more than a breeze to knock that tower over, and that was, I think, a delayed ace. you actually saw, you know, the first 3 members dying and then respawning before the other 2 members proceeded to jump in and then die themselves. And yeah, very, very deep diving, which is what you would expect from this comp. You have some real dive potential. 2 very, very beefy characters, 2 very, very sustained characters. You also have that Lulu with the Wild Growth, you also have that Lulu shield, which will come up over and over again, and then you also have that Kayle ulti. They are completely capable of diving almost any tower. The only thing that could really go wrong from their perspective is falling behind on damage too much and not being able to cope with that. Syndra is going to have a lot of difficulties bursting anyone, though, obviously, because Kayle ulti. Going to make life very difficult. Does land a stun there, not going to be doing anything with it. But yeah, going to be having a lot of difficulty bursting anyone unless Kayle is already used. And if it's Kayle just barreling straight at Syndra, that's going to make it very, very difficult for her to do anything at all in these fights.
Yeah, and I guess if there's one champion that's made for diving, it would be Nautilus. You can see that Eternity have drawn themselves now, well, had drawn themselves up to a gold lead. Does go just as a mid-sentence on that one as Varus and Nami do end up taking that down. Caitlyn and Lulu still looking to push on, but looks like they're just going to turn away. They have a feeling that Varus was still around. So 1 tower in the lead for Peculiar. Eternity now about 1,000 gold behind, about 1,500. They will end up taking down this mid tower shortly if they were to push for it, but it looks like they're just waiting on the minions to meet them there.
Yep, this mid tower unlikely to stay alive for long. To be honest, here we go. Shields coming out. We actually have the Dota tower in there and of Anton M, who gets aggroed upon rather peculiarly, you might say. But he's going to be okay with that. They're just going to back out. It does look like there is no huge problem here. We do have now, you know, both teams kind of pretty much on an even footing. I mean, there's a 1,000 gold lead in the favor of Peculiar Gaming. Nothing too much going to be coming from that. I mean, obviously, 1,000 gold will add up to something for someone, but if it's spread across everyone, it's not going to be too significant of a difference. And obviously, there isn't too big of a level difference. There isn't too big of a difference overall. It does seem like both teams could very easily win any given fight, so long as it started on roughly equal terms. However, we do now see potentially Spontex in a bit of a spot here. We do have the Spiderling coming out. Spontex could be in trouble. We have got the Neurotoxin going down, and now the engage has been committed by Spontex. That was an unfortunate mistake, maybe. We have got the ultimate from Syndra coming in, though, and it's not actually enough to pop him. So he's actually now going to go down with the rest of his team backing up, and now Amazing looking for the counter engage. Not going to happen. For the disengage, we have the interesting pose there on Grulum, but he's going to die. And that is not a good situation, although Varus is pushing in mid.
Yeah, Spontex actually knew he had this passive available there, so wasn't all that worried about being caught out because he knew that the rest of his teammate were chasing Grulum up to that top lane. Grulum went aggressive, ended up paying for it with his life regardless of that Zhonya's, so overall, I think Eternity will be happy. That's you know, that's a pickup for them. Allows them to stifle Syndra a little bit, not picking up a kill for herself. Kayle at 1-0-4. Now, while isn't quite as farmed as should probably like right now, they are actually going to start a Baron. They know Varus is in the bot lane. Zac is down there as well, so I don't think they're going to be able to do this now. They will pull back.
Yeah, it was just a pure, well, if they don't react, then we're going to be in good shape here. If they do react, we can just back out, and they can't really do it either, so, you know, no huge risk there, and it was a potentially high reward. Obviously, didn't work out for them. Now they're just going to recall and go back to farming. It does seem like this is a much slower pace game than the last one. I think by now we probably had about 20 kills. But we do see JWoww hanging around in this top lane. He's going to be going for Vandendoor, but not able to pick it up. Just a little bit out of range on that repel. Jumped onto the minion. The net kept her alive though, so no follow-up there. JWoww actually being pinged out. They may know exactly where he's going to hide. He's obviously confident in his ability to just straight up take Caitlyn head on, and indeed seem to be hiding there. Not really too much coming of it though, and everyone just going back to farming. So the question actually now, Stress, who is actually going to win in these mid-game fights? Who is going to be the team that has the better team fight comp?
I still kind of think it's reliant on who Syndra targets with her unleashed power, and whether Kale can get that intervention down in time. I mean, if Unleashed Power goes onto somebody like a Caitlyn or like a Kale, and Kale doesn't end up reacting in time, that's going to be a lot of the damage that's removed from the fight. Also, if they can hit a good Let's Bounce, actually Anton might be caught out, forced to use the ultimate on himself. Audacious Charge comes in on top. Anton actually now having that on cooldown with the Wild Growth is going to be a little bit vulnerable, but looks like Peculiar are going to engage on this with the tidal wave. Flash over the wall out from Feliox. Looks like they're catching on towards Agent. Super Bob will go down towards JWoww, so no intervention after. Well, actually, intervention had been used. Didn't quite see who that got used on. Peculiar might be catching on towards this when they do pick up a double kill on Elise. Varus is going to pick up a kill as well, so Peculiar find themselves coming out ahead on that team fight and re-establishing their lead once again.
Yeah, very nicely played. They very much forced out a lot of key ultimates, and then they just kind of split up the team. Eternity were not able to put anything down. They had that Zonya's Grulum able to keep himself in the way and then flash out at the last second before he was killed, and they are going to go for this Baron now. They might be able to get this, actually. I think they should be able to. They have a lot of percent damage, so they'll clear it very, very quickly indeed, and it does look like this is going to go down, so Peculiar Gaming now taking a commanding lead. This is going to give them a significant gold lead, and they're going to have the Baron buff. Obviously, they don't want to get out before Spontex arrives because he might just be able to make something happen, but not going to happen. So now is the time where Peculiar Gaming are going to want to make fights get forced. Spontex might actually look for this fight with JWoww. I'm not sure he would actually want it if he could get it, though, because obviously JWoww has Baron buff at the moment. We are going to be seeing it, though. They are getting a stun down. Spontex now putting down no damage at all. Actually, just going to get blown up. That was perhaps not the best decision there.
Yeah, they did pick up Spontex, as you said. JWoww managing to get away with that one. Still fairly low on health himself, but obviously managing to escape with his life there. Has Leandries and the Sorcerer's Boots alongside that double Doran's Ring. What will he pick up on top of that? Has 2.7k gold right now, so that's going to get dumped into something pretty big, I would have thought. Needlessly Large Rod still has 1.3. Had to sell that other Doran's Ring. So, builds a Seeker's Arm Guard alongside that Needlessly Large. That's going towards the Zonya's Hourglass for JWoww, so that's going to keep him a little bit more safe in team fights. Peculiar came out ahead on that engagement at Dragon, which was a couple of minutes ago now, but it already shows that even without those defensive items, Peculiar is still doing a good job. Grullam might be caught out, though. Zonya's Hourglass was forced. There's the tidal wave to try and disengage. Polymorph goes in as well. Super Bob is going to pick that one up. Eternity are actually turning their backs on this one. They might not want to engage with JWoww, and amazing there. So it looks like Eternity will pick up that kill pretty much for free and now go back to their defensive posture.
Yeah, and that's going to cut down the aggression from Peculiar Gaming a lot. They're going to find it much harder to go for any kind of dive here. They can't really go super aggressive, although they actually may do so. JWoww putting down the damage, but not going to be enough. They're kind of half-healthing a lot of people, but then they're just regenerating it back up. Pots, flasks, heals and shields. It's working out well right now for Eternity, considering that they lack that Baron buff. Obviously, though, there is still half of one left on Peculiar, so you still have time to make things happen, but it looks like they're going to go back, maybe look to buy items once more, and then probably look for one final push. We actually may see Spontex catch someone out here, though. They are hooking their way in with that agent, but not going to happen. And once again, everyone is just going to go back to going back and farming.
Yeah, this is kind of similar to how the last game kind of played out. Lots of farming, then a sudden end pretty much came from nowhere. So whether we'll see that kind of thing happen again... I mean, we saw Eternity just grab a team fight in the last game and then end up just keeping on picking people off. But it looks like Peculiar have themselves a little bit better footing in this game this time around. They do take down that inner tower. They have the gold lead by 5,500 gold. Now they're trying to establish as much control of the map as possible. Doesn't look like they actually have an oracle, so they're not able to remove the wards quite yet. Drifting all of them over to that top lane. They're actually going to recall out. Looks like they feel like they're a little too far out on this one, and they're going to head back home.
Yep, does just seem like both teams are not really going to go for anything at the moment. No, this is kind of the problem I feel with the compositions we're seeing here. It's very much an aggressive engage comp from Eternity, but what they're up against is a comp that's built around counter-engaging. So it's a comp where if they play to their strengths, Eternity are playing right into the hands of their opponents. So as a result, They're just waiting for them to make a mistake. And the same is obviously true of the counter-engage comp. Neither side able to make anything happen, really, unless the other one slips up, unless someone gets caught. Unless there's a big minion wave pressuring somewhere else. So, what can you do right now? Except just wait for everyone to farm up. Because once everyone hits kind of a critical mass of items, maybe the tanks will start to get tanky enough to just dive in and ignore all the CC or force all the CC. Maybe the damage on the the AD carries is going to reach a point where it forces everyone else to back off. JWoww actually looking for that stun in mid, but not going to be able to land it. It just does feel like we're waiting for something to happen, but it might not happen for quite a while.
Yeah, it's kind of just that powder keg that's just sat there waiting to explode. It's kind of a little bit infuriating when you see a team that just can't quite end up pushing for the win. They actually might be the explosion. Spontex gets caught out by the chain of corruption. A lot of abilities used all at once. Depth charge on towards Motrico at the back. Spontex trying to get out the back. It looks like both teams are actually gonna disengage. No kills, people, in that fight.
And welcome back to CLG.eu versus World Elite at the Season 2 Finals. We are getting underway now. We will be expecting some ward cheers in the chat at some point when they get taken out, because at the moment it doesn't seem like anyone is going to do anything. But it does seem at the same time like it could happen. I mean, that fight obviously could have exploded very well. We did see the flash coming out from Motrico, and he is a very important target. So losing that for the next 5 minutes means he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable. They are going to be going for this Dragon though, should be able to pick that up, do in fact do so. Baron will be spawning relatively soon, and that may be the sticking point. That may be where people really start to posture over vision control. And once they have that vision control fight going on, with those pink wards, with those oracles, that's when it's going to start being quite a high chance that someone will get caught out by some form of CC. Maybe even, the flash anchor, the flash depth charge, something like that could easily happen, and it's especially easy for it to happen at that Baron pit. What happens when the fights go on, though? Well, obviously, it's a very simple concept, really. I mean, you're going to have Spontex diving in, you're going to have Agent diving in. You're going to have Spurblob trying to shield whoever tries to get bursted by Grulum or JWoww. And then you're just going to have to see if Caitlyn and Spurblob can put out enough damage without getting focused out to win them the fight. Because Varus is also going to be doing a lot of sustained damage, and he's going to be doing more damage than either Spurblob alone or Vandenoob alone. But the two of them together are obviously going to put out more damage over time than him. It is looking, though, at the moment that we might be seeing Eternity going for this aggressive push on this bottom tower. They are going to be seeing the wave clear, though, from Grulum. Just really, really strong. They could potentially start to look to tank shots with those shields that they have, with that regen that Spontex has. But not going to happen. Everyone's going to back out, going to play some more wards, and then we're going to play the can we catch someone out who goes out to ward game.
Yeah, the itemization in this game is fairly... well, I guess with double APs on both sides is to be expected. You see there's a Liandry's Torment on top lane and mid lane for Peculiar Gaming. Runic Bulwark on both sides is going to soak up a lot of that by increasing that magic resistance on all of the members. So, I mean, there's a lot of MR across both teams here. And you can see now they're just playing this positioning game where they're just taking out wards, making sure they have vision, and keeping as much map vision and control as possible. Looks like Amazing might be trying to flank around the side here, but neither of these teams seem to want to have this all-in fight. Peculiar might have found themselves an opening, though, because Eternity is so far out of their base that Peculiar just ran the straight line down the middle, will pick up a tower and increase their gold lead again, but they're going to disengage. Amazing thought about going in there for a second. Ebb and Flow will land on towards Agent. Agent takes a chunk of his health off. Now Peculiar might look towards heading around to deward that Baron area.
Yeah, they're going to deward that Baron area, but they've got to be careful not to get engaged upon here. It does look like Spontex is going to go for this. He is not going to go for this, actually. They are going to get the stun across the wall from Grulum, but again, not going to go for it. Everyone's going to back out. But if they do this now, if Spontex goes back now, they could potentially get him. Actually, Amazing is going to land in with the aggression. They are going to land the stun. He is going to get ulted by Kale, get ulted by Lulu. So tanky, jumping right back into the middle. Motrico is now in the middle between people, but we've got Amazing warding off almost the entire team of Eternity. We've got Gruelan putting down the Zonyas. He's going to be staying alive now. We've got the disengage looking in from Eternity. They're going to take out Vandanu very quickly, but the barrier goes down. We've actually got the ebb and flow looking for the damage. Gruelan has no mana. We've got the attempt on the kill. Varus gets a triple kill, and finally something has happened in this game. We got to pause.
Something happens, we get a pause, and
slow down there, guys.
DC,
we can't, you know, deal. I'm not sure my heart can cope.
And the strange thing is, we're only 32 minutes into this game. I mean, normally it's that this kind of play is around about that 50-minute mark, where everybody's playing so careful because gold's not really as important that late into the game. Yes, it allows you to have an item advantage, but the right team fight and positioning is much more important as the death timers tick up and up. That's why people say that gold from dragons doesn't scale linear in a linear way throughout the game, because yes, it's very important early and mid game, but towards the end of the game, that extra couple of 100 gold that you're going to have on yourself is not really all that big a game changer. And we're seeing this scared play regardless of the fact that Peculiar Gaming are about 7,000 gold in the lead. And now that is a fair amount. It's given them the itemization to pretty much stay ahead. But they're just playing very scared. I don't think they're quite aware of how far ahead they are, since the kills are fairly even and the towers are, you know, they've only got 2 towers in the lead. So I think Peculiar aren't quite aware of how far ahead they are.
Yes, and I just spilled water all over my desk, which is going to make it a little bit awkward for me for a little bit of a while I attempt somewhat vainly to clear this away with a birthday card. Baron is being taken. That's a very nice, obviously, Peculiar Gaming, having won that fight, do want to secure their advantage, and they do have that open inhibitor. So it feels right now that they are going to be making a push to really start to win this game. That's going to give them an advantage, obviously. I suspect, honestly, that Eternity might just try and seed that inhibitor there. That would be not at all surprising, because honestly, fighting head-on against a team that, you know, 10k gold and Baron buff ahead, that's going to be a bit difficult. But they could still go for it. They do obviously have the kind of fight which is really, really strong in a full-on hard engage if they get the right setup. But they do have to get the right setup for that to work.
Yeah, as you said, 10,000 gold in the lead now with the Baron buff. It's hopefully that'll be the signal that they can go on this. Their team composition, however, doesn't really lend itself towards those team fights straight up. They'd rather kind of get that disengage and angle around for a less straightforward team fight. But that 10,000 gold goes a long way on the itemization to allowing them to take control of this game. You can see the CS in the mid lane, a large advantage on to Syndra. I wonder what the comparative gold is. Yeah, you look at Syndra's on 12,000 gold to the 9,500 gold of Kale. So not only that farming, but the global advantage that Peculiar Gaming have just all around the map from the different objectives they've had from this game is putting their lanes at a significant advantage right now. And Peculiar looking to get on towards this inhibitor. I'm not sure that Eternity can do all that much about it. Looks like they're just going to let the inhibitor go down. Will Peculiar swing around down to that bot lane? It looks like that's where they're headed. Looks like they just want to systematically take down turrets, take down inhibitors to push this game through.
Yeah, it's just going to be the slow grinding pressure. Eternity can't really fight them at the moment. In fact, Peculiar are now... the game has gone on so long that they are now sufficiently tanky to just start face tanking towers. And obviously Motrico will take down towers very quickly as well. He's now a very farmed AD carry. 268 CS and obviously 268 gold, yeah. Spontex not going to be looking for that engage over the wall there. Amazing now, maybe going for this. He has actually flashed in. He has knocked everyone away from Spurlover. He's putting down the damage down. We've got the tidal wave coming in as well. Anton M gets taken out by the ball, and it's actually a good setup now by Peculiar. They are obviously ahead. There is no support available. Anton M never even got to use that wild growth. So 40 seconds until he respawns, but he is not the most valuable member. Spontix may actually look for the engage here. He may actually do it. Depth charge goes in on Motrico. We've got the damage not actually following up though, so now it's JWoww in the middle. Vandernu going down, but not because KL ult, so JWoww is in the middle. He's going to take a bit of damage and go down, but it's not going to be enough to stop the onslaught. I think that's Peculiar Gaming, and I think that should be the win for them. They are going to head to the mid lane. They're going to push out the wave. There's no one ready to stop them. Anton M does not count. He is a support, and that is going to be GG. Well played there by Peculiar Gaming.
So Peculiar Gaming take this series now to a game number 3. That means, both of these teams have one more shot at getting into the finals here for EUS Challenger Series number 5. And Peculiar coming out looking a little bit stronger in this game than they did in the last one. They finished that game with a 15,000 gold difference there right at the end. It started just escalating through, and as I said, systematically taking apart Eternity right at the end for the victory. We will be back in a couple of minutes, guys, with game number 3 between Eternity and Peculiar Gaming here at the EUS Challenger Series number 5 semi-finals.